Good evening. It is Monday night, and if I just explained what we just been talking, well, these two have just been talking about the last couple of minutes. Not only would this be demonetized, we would be taken off YouTube.
And I guarantee that at least one person, I'm going to guess it's Alex, has probably heard of them.
Alex has probably heard.
We won't bring them up. We won't bring them up because we don't want these to be demonetized.
I mean, I think that goes beyond monetization, that conversation. But there you go. Welcome to the Monday Night Plastic Crack Podcast without metal bands that these two were just talking about. It is episode 17, season 5.
I know.
Crikey.
I know. It's alarming me. I keep seeing comments from people who are going back looking at the old ones. And it's like, for goodness sake. It's like,
I know, no. Those people who are doing it are glorious. They're sending us some amazing timestamps. It's fantastic. And I'm keeping.
Yes, that's a reminder. If you see if you're getting juicy timestamps of any sort of those little comments that were said, such as revelation of brother Ken being a brother and these sort of things, then just let us know, because we're trying to get a little clip book together, because there's been some absolute classics over the years.
There was someone sent the one on, and it was actually fairly recent, but it was the one where Ken showed us his use of feminine hygiene products in his modelling.
Oh God, I'd forgotten about that.
My brain has blocked that out, because the whole mental imagery of Ken sat there doing that with what he was doing, I don't know. It's ungodly, isn't it?
There's things that go on in that man's head that astound me, but that one took me another level. I just don't understand it. Anyway. There we go. We won't get into that. So, but welcome everybody watching. Thank you very much indeed, particularly those watching on the catch-up. Love you dearly as well. And thank you to our friends at Boards and Swords. I've got the wrong overlay on, never mind. Who sponsor this stream. I'll correct that later. It's fine. Nobody will notice. It's fine. So, gentlemen, you've had a good week or a couple of weeks. Well, it's been 2 weeks since I've seen you two.
It's been all right.
Last week you had the Metal Boys taking over again. I saw.
We were all right. Yeah,
we didn't really discuss it. We talked. We had a bit of a film chat, but no, we didn't even get to the main topic till almost 9 o'clock. It was the OPC was mammoth. It was mammoth last week.
That is getting fair chunky. That is the OPC.
Well, it's because, to be fair, I also forgot the way that Dom split it up over like quite a few things, and so he said me and Steve just tried to do it all in one sitting, whereas this last time Dom split it. So yeah, I forgot the way we did it now.
Well, it was something like 30 odd entries last time.
Yeah,
so geez, it's absolutely insane how many people are doing it. Anyway, but we'll get onto that later on. Well, it won't be today, but reminder, if you do want to get involved in the OPC, the current month is cavalry, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everything cavalry. So
hopefully, I wonder how many people are actually going to skip that one.
Well, I've done vehicles because I'm doing a sort of Second World War army, and they don't tend to have an awful lot of cavalry, so that's what I did. So I'm all good.
I'm changing project halfway through.
You just don't stick at it, do you? Blimey.
Oh, I don't. I just cheat.
So let's have a look and see who's in the chat. We've got Ham and Jam. Bicker City is here. He says, evening. It's scorching here, 93 degrees. I'm sitting on my balcony with a cigar and a double mojito, training my liver for October.
Good man.
Good man. Well done. Hippo Hobby Hours is here. East Norfolk's here. Lionheart is here. I saw he was talking about Partisan show at the weekend, which looked awesome. I caught Alex's video this morning. That's just an amazing show that does. One year I'm going to get there. 1 year. David Barker, Baker even. Benjamin's here. Hello, Benjamin. Good evening from what feels like the bonfires of hell. I'm melting. Trevor's here. Lazy Pirate Painting is here. Friends of General Haig. Hi, Andy. How you doing? He says, ahoy. Evening all in Worcester this evening. The sky is blue and there's a strange glowing object in the sky. Seems to have followed me back from Newark. Could it be the we've got Sweden, we've got Paul, we've got, oh my goodness, I've lost it now already. Mobile and hostile. Evening all. Very pleasant it is too. Building an Opal Blitz tonight. Can't go wrong with an Opal Blitz, can you? Especially if
Oh God, no.
Kit, you'll be okay. David Benton says, hi dudes, relaxing after working on a 3x3 table I'm building for the Battle of Gaines Mill. Oh, what's that for?
Yes. No, I've seen the updates. That's right.
Oh, awesome. Excellent. Added's here. He's working on his Spanish. Daniel's in Los Angeles painting more epic ACW. Actually, that's the gift that keeps giving, isn't it? All that epic ACW just never seems to end. I keep looking at my ACWs and think, geez, I'm sure I've painted hundreds and yet there's still thousands waiting to come through. Peter Vort is in Washington State, USA. Hello, Peter.
Hello.
We've got oh no, I've lost it again. God, it keeps jumping. There's so many people in the chat. That's the problem. Red Steph is eating chocolate hobnobs with a cup of tea. That's completely inappropriate for a scorching hot Monday evening. For goodness' sake, hobnobs when they melt.
We've gone from cigars and mojitos to tea and hobnobs.
Unbelievable.
It's just purely decadent stuff. It's decadent is what it is.
Juan is in Buenos Aires, and he says it's a lovely 16 degrees centigrade today. So you're probably the coolest of all of us. I think it's hotter here than there, for goodness sake. Got Alex is in the building. Steve Harbour's here. Oh my goodness, I'm losing everyone again. John Sarby's here. Thermometer on my balcony says 94.5 degrees Fahrenheit. That is hot. I was in the US last week and it was in that sort of region. It was 95 to 100. It was pretty hot. I don't know what that is in centigrade, but it was hot. That's all I know. I just had to shelter in pubs and bars. That was the best thing to do. What else we got here? Oh, it was a first time view and I've lost it. Oh my goodness, I should have. Oh, here we go. Across the pond, Colin.
Oh, hello.
First time catching the live stream for a hot minute. Good afternoon from the clear blue Alabama. Our moistness is rather hot and swampy.
Swampy
well
moistness.
Done. Swampy moistness. You don't get that up where you are, Steve, do you? Swampy moistness.
No, bit of moistness, not near enough swamps around here. In fact, no swamps around here at all.
Oh my lord. We got Dutch Army Paint. Nathan's here. Camberwell Johnny. I'm sure that's something isn't that slang for something? Camberwell Johnny. It says evening on from a warm Wiltshire where men are men and sheep are nervous. Good man. Love it. Miller's here. Hi, Miller.
Right, Miller.
Miller, I have to congratulate you. I'm finally rolling some decent dice on that game with Martin. Gee whiz. I've never seen you roll properly. Wow.
He did. What do they say though? Even a clock is right twice a day.
Yeah.
No, he did. He was some cracking. The thing is with that game, I don't really watched it. There was no moment of absolute disaster.
No.
And no moment of absolute sort of, oh my god, they've just managed to go all the way up the board and take everything. It just kind of actually played out without any kind of it didn't mean it was a really good game. There was just none of those moments of absolute oh god, everything's just blown up. And that what did it played like a proper battle without some kind of stupid intervention. So yeah, no, he deserved that.
Yeah, it was good.
Next time.
I love it. Alex says the entire other side of the Pennines is swampy. Well done, Alex. You just pissed everybody off. Right. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Sorry if I didn't get to your names, but it just jumps around because there's so many people talking in there, which is brilliant to see.
Can I just clarify something for Alex and Steve? We weren't talking about AC. Because that would definitely get us demonetized.
Oh yeah. We were talking about that.
It just gets worse.
I
I don't
really
think.
want to know.
I'm going to assume that Dom doesn't know who that is.
AC. I wouldn't Google it, Dom. Wouldn't Google it, mate.
I don't think I want to know.
No,
Do I?
Especially when you work, especially if you've got like a work account. I wouldn't Google it.
No,
Yeah, and maybe not in the library, or if you're sitting next to anyone.
Anyway, let's move on, shall we? Yes.
I forgot about that. I forgot.
Oh, God, and Bennett, you too.
I forgot about that. I don't remember.
do you know what? I've got one of their albums, and it's now worth. I think it's worth about 50 odd quid. I had to get. I could only get it on import only from Germany.
Is it covered? Did it come covered in like in a bag? Like
Very just
sorry, no.
packaged.
I don't even know what you two are talking about, but it's great. Whatever. Sean is here. He says, well, in Worcestershire, I have the French windows open. That's posh for you. Most Worcestershire. Smoking a cigar and having a nice glass of Rioja. Looking forward to a game of General Dame 2 tomorrow. Well done, you.
There is a lot of cigar smoking.
There's a lot of cigar smoking.
And I'm here for. I appreciate that.
Good. Yeah, are you a cigar smoker?
I do like a cigar every now and then.
It's got to be a good one. Can't be like a scrag end or something like that. It's got to be nice.
My problem is because I used to enjoy smoking very much indeed, and I haven't smoked for about 25 years or so. But every time I try and smoke a cigar, I smoke it like a cigarette, which isn't good, really.
No,
that's how you vomit.
If you do that, you wake up next day sound like Barry White.
I do, and because generally when I've got exceedingly drunk, and that's the point where I go, I'll have a cigar now. A very wrong time to be doing it. Anyway, what are we here for? So tonight we're going to talk about does the language of gaming turn players off? Which I really get some. There's some really interesting comments actually on the post that I put up on the Facebook page, so I'll get to those. So thank you for that. So look forward to hearing what people have to say. I'll tell you, this came about because I'll give you the example why this happened to me, and I've got my one example which I'll come to later. But I was watching somebody, one of these really good figure painters, doing a video where he was painting a 15mm British Napoleonic figure, and he did a beautiful job. It was lovely red coat, really nice white belts and everything, and he did green trousers on it. And I went, what are you doing? And it kind of just made my jump. And then he was doing it for Silver Bayonet, so it's not even going to be used in a historical setting. So it's sort of that made me go, why the hell am I? Anyway, so which then played onto some other ideas that I had around this. So we'll get onto that in a bit. But let's talk about what we've been doing the last week or so. Steve, you're back on the wagon, mate, aren't you? You're back painting.
Something weird, something very, 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 very weird happened. I can't explain this. I can't. Let's just hopefully this picture will sum it up.
Pipe Smoker of the Year awards. Don't know.
Pipe Smoker of the Year. This happened.
You've just gone back in time, haven't you? I'm
painting landscapes again. I don't know how this started last Tuesday. It's just Tuesday night. I was like, because I'd spent the previous week painting World War II Fallschirmjäger, and I thought I fancy a bit of a change. And so I was digging around. I've got a cardboard tray over there of just stuff that I've started and just not finished. Mm-hmm. So I was digging around there, and I found 4 pikemen that I'd based last year, 18 months ago, and I'd only put one colour on them. And I thought, well, that's a bit different. If I can paint Landsknecht, my hobby burnout is over, because these are an acquired taste to paint. And by Friday, I'd painted that lot.
Very nice.
So we've got 4 pikemen, 4 Zweihanders, and 4 arquebusiers. My plan is to complete the entire starter box. So all that's left is 36 figures.
Wow.
Which is the rest of the pike. I mean, I know 24 isn't really much of a pike block, is it?
Some people around here would say not.
No. Imagine Yorkshire Ken. His opinion of a 24-man pike block is not going to be. It's not going to be great. But then I've got the Zweihanders and the Arquebusiers to do, and that'll be the whole starter box finished.
Wow.
I don't know. I don't know what happened. But even tonight, right now, I'm painting a drummer. I'm painting a Landsknecht drummer.
Okay, what happened to Steve? Where is he? What happened? Who's taking him away? It's the hot weather, I think, Martin. That's all I'm going to say.
They've just been so enjoyable. I actually had a conversation with a mate at the weekend, and I was talking. I said, I don't know how. I mean, I Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, I just enjoyed it. I just painted Landsknechts, and it was brilliant. And I said to him, how can I paint Landsknechts? No, you're right. You're right, Miller. What to do me right. I don't know how I can paint these and enjoy them, but when it comes to Napoleonics, I just can't do it. I mean, they're the same, bright colours, intricate details. Can't paint them. Landsknechts, absolutely loving painting these. They're just such nice figures, and
wow.
In fact, things got out of control. I thought, if I finish the starter box, I'm going to need an opposition for them.
Oh dear.
And so I had two options.
What have you bought
now? Oh no, I've not bought anything yet. I'm sticking with these until they're finished. Either Swiss mercenaries,
good choice,
or Spanish in the Italian wars.
I got one for you. I got another one. Got another choice for you. Buy the new peasants from Steel Fist Miniatures and make them Norwich locals and do Kett's Rebellion and do the Landsnecks versus the Norfolk.
Oh no, that would be fun. Yeah,
that was the most random Landsknecht moment in the entire world. Rocking up
at Norwich.
Norwich.
To beat up some peasants. But yeah, that's what I want to. So I'm working on and I've said to David in the chat today on the group. I've changed the way I've painted these. So I used to paint them in between like 6 and 8, which is too much. So I've gone, it's 4 base, I'm painting 4 at the same time. And I'm just using one wash. What I used to do was use a different wash for each colour. So it was red or brown or pink, or red wash. And I was using 5 or 6 washes. Actually, James, I was looking at those today, wondering whether or not they would work or not. And it looks like they do. So
they would. They would very well, very much so.
So I'm painting Landsknechts and I'm really enjoying it. And I've worked out. I'm hoping to have the whole thing finished in the next 3 weeks.
Wow.
So that's my
awesome.
I never thought I'd be painting Landsknechts again. Let's put it that way.
And if I can put a plea out there now, if anybody knows where the real Steve is, please contact pcp@gmail.com because we've lost him. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. I mean, it's just what is going on. Rich M says, somehow I've unknowingly slipped into a parallel universe where Steve paints drummers.
It's true. I mean, it's not a very exciting drum. It's only brown, green, and blue, but it's still a drum at the end of the day, isn't it?
Peasants led by
partridge.
Glendower's having a word with you, Martin. Martin, leave Norfolk alone just because you live south of the border.
I think everyone should leave Norfolk alone. I'm quite happy. Every time I get a job in Norfolk, a part of me does kind of go, oh no, no. I love the history.
Brilliant. Oh, hang on, no, wrong one. Robin says, Steve, what was the one wash you used to tie all the colours together? It's 2 parts black to 1 part sepia, but it's really, really diluted. All it is, because I know Steve was asking me on Twitter the weekend what undercoat or what base coat I use for them. I use brown. I use brown undercoat, put the bright colours on, and then use this black and brown wash, and it brings the colours down, but not too much, so they're not in your face. And the highlights sort of bring them back up. But it's a good combination. It seems to work anyway. But yeah, 2 parts black, 1 part sepia. Okay. We don't believe it. Paul says he's got you chained in his attic, kit bashing, forbidden psalm. There you go. I've still not got myself a copy of that. I might need to in the very near future. Brilliant. Excellent stuff. Well, good to see you back on that. John, behave. I got it wrong. All right. Oh, wrong one. John's pointed out very clearly in my last video that I talked about Batavarians because I don't know. I was jet lagged. That's all. That's my excuse. I was jet lagged. Batavians was what I meant to say. Anyway, and David, you're going to get a yellow card if you're not careful with that. Look at that. Further news on battling turnips and wombles. No, definitely not. What about you, Martin? What have you been up to? Anything you can talk about, or is it all secret hush hush?
It's all secret hush hush. I think I can talk about it. So, well, I'm guessing everyone probably knows.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So that'll be happening on the channel. But other than that, I went to London with my school friends to celebrate. We're all 40 this year, so I went. And if anyone is my friend on Facebook, you've had a very funny picture that we all took together 22 years ago, and then took the same photo again. And I am considerably rounder than I was 22 years ago. No, it was great. And I had a lovely weekend just drinking lots and lots of beer.
I have to say, you didn't look as old as some of your friends do now, but also the fact is that you look considerably younger in the original video.
Yeah, no, I do. Yeah. Well, they made me, before we were talking about this, because that first picture was taken in Cavos. We went to Cavos when we were 18, and they made me cut my hair because they didn't want to be seen with me with long hair, so they made me cut my hair off. So that was good. But no, I had a brilliant time just seeing my friends, and we went around London. We did do a little bit of history. We went to Fuller's Brewery, and we did some of the history stuff associated there, and then drank a phenomenal amount of beer. And ate a phenomenal amount of food. One of my friends decided it was a really good idea to mix 9% porters with cherry ciders. So he was looking a little bit peaky, and then he chased the whole thing down. We went to the Blues Kitchen in Camden for food, and it was amazing place. And he had like the spicy. I had to move away from him on the table because I could smell how spicy it was, and it was affecting me. And he chased all that down with these really, really spicy wings. So no, we had a cracking time. I got shat on by a seagull on London Bridge.
Good.
Just as I was explaining to my friends all about the history of Cromwell's head, trying to explain.
You see,
as
Cromwell
we're walking across,
back.
I think Cromwell was reincarnated into that seagull, and it took a dump on me. So we went into what was it called? It was the Barrow Boy, the Banker and Barrow Boy, the pub at the bottom of London Bridge. Yeah. So we went in there so I could wash the shit out of my hair. So then I just looked like I've been drowned. So no, we had a cracking time. Spent a little bit of time down at Camden Lock yesterday, and I now spent the rest of the time. It's not good luck. It's not good. That's it. Yeah, they didn't have any bands in there, unfortunately. They did have a whiskey that cost £68 a glass. That I was, because they have. I think they have like something like 100 different bourbons in there. They have like 100 different whiskeys, and then they had this bit that said rare whiskey. And you just sort of like, oh, I want to have a look at that. Yeah, 67 pounds a glass. It was.
Holy
and part of you goes, I want to know what a 67 pound glass whiskey tastes like. But no, it was cracking. And then it's been amazing with Ragged Stuff. So now I've officially sold out of everything. So I've had to shut the shop for a little while I get everything. Go on, Crom. That's pretty. Cromwell the seagull. That was good. So I've done that. I've been doing some more designs for Ragged Stuff, and I'm hoping that the next one isn't going to be as long. And editing videos. That's basically been my week. Yeah. What about you? What have you done? It tastes like £20 a glass of whiskey.
Probably.
I didn't know. It was all American stuff. I had no idea what I was looking at. I sort of went to the other end of the bar and had the English beer that was down the other end of the Probably. I'll have the London Pride, please, because I've just been to their brewery.
I know how it tastes. Yeah. What have I been up to? So obviously I didn't get back from the US until Thursday morning. So I haven't done a huge amount, but I did get on with some 15mm and Epic stuff because that's easy to crack through, isn't it? So These aren't French, but they are French 15mm Napoleonics.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because we're kind of big into our. I think I'm going to have another General Dame 2 game this week. Hopefully, it'll be more General Dame 2 than General Dame 1.5, which most people seem to indicate we were actually playing. You know how you just sort of morph 2 rule sets together?
Yeah,
that's what we did. So it was.
Do you find at 15mm that you prefer playing General Dame, and at 28mm you prefer playing Black Powder?
Definitely. Yeah. And I'm not entirely sure why, but I do. I think because actually I do know why, because I think General Dame is probably better for large sort of maneuvering battles, whereas I always feel Black Powder you just want to get in and kick somebody. No one the way with it. When I think it looks better in I think 28mm works really well with Black. I mean, we play 15mm Black Powder, but I think I prefer it that way around myself. Yeah, I agree with. Yeah, I would say so. That was good. So yeah, we're going to play a bit of that hopefully on Friday. Not sure what yet, but hopefully we may not get to the full General Dame version 2. We may get to 1.75 or something like that. We'll see. I might read the rules again. That might help.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. That's a rarity. I mean, I can't promise to remember them, you know. Also did a few more epic 30-year war cavalry. They look
nice.
They look shocking from this angle. Never mind. I mean, it's face on, and we know they're not great face on, but they're done. And then some light. No, those are medium cannons, and another Imperial Command group, which I need more of. So that's it. At some point, Tony down our club is he's been working his way through 30-year war epic figures, and he said in a couple of weeks' time, when he's got enough painted up, we're going to have a big shindig. So I thought I'd better go on a few more, and then there's some light cannons as well, because they were all ready to go. So it's a little bit of this, bit of that, mainly stuff that was half done. So, all good.
Yeah,
all good indeed. I've lost the thing. Where is it again? Talk amongst yourselves while I find the thingy. There we go. No. Oh, no. Anyway, so yes, that's what I've been up to. Good to see what everyone's been working on. Well done, chaps. I'm really pleased to see you back on the wagon again, Steve. That's good.
I just wanted to say a massive thank you to everyone in the community, in the group, who've sent me ideas, and just it's been nice. I mean, it was really, really. I think that's the worst I've had that in years. I lost all interest. And if you'd have said to me 4 weeks ago, by the way, Steve, in 4 weeks you'd be painting landsnecks, I'd be like, oh, yeah, whatever. And yeah, it's happened. So no, just a big thank you to everyone that was sort of giving me that push in the right direction to start painting again. It was very much appreciated.
That's good. We were worried about you for a minute, and then we thought, eventually the turnips would get you again, and you'd be back. So that's good. Good to hear. So, as I said, tonight, I thought we'd talk about... So I started this out thinking about whether or not historical, particularly, because we talk about regularly about attracting new players into the hobby, and particularly into the historical side, our little tiny historical side of the hobby. And we know that there can be some fairly... zealoty people around uniform styles and colors and that sort of thing, but also occasionally you see a lot around the language that people use in gaming, and sort of as people come into the hobby, are they put off by the sort of language that is used around games? And I say I started with historical, but actually a few of the comments were around more broadly on the weird shit as well. So I think I might broaden it out generally to the weird shit. Obviously, I don't know anything about that because I've never been attracted to it at all. But
badges,
apart from badges, I still haven't a game though, so I can't count on that. So I just thought it'd be interesting to talk about it. And I put the stream up on the Facebook page, and there were a couple of really good responses on it, which I thought I'd run through just to get things going, and then come to you chaps for any thoughts you had. Because the one I have, which I think I see lots of people. I know Ken, Yorkshire Gamer, is around factions, the use of factions. And I don't know why I get upset about it, because actually it doesn't matter a jot. And that's part of what I'm thinking is it's almost like that follow-up question. You know, you get really worked up about this, but does it really matter? Does it really change the game? Anyway, that's one that I kind of feel my blood boiling whenever people are talking about, let's play Napoleonics. What faction are you going to play? You go, it's nations. Anyway, but it doesn't matter really, does it? And I wouldn't want to put somebody off by playing Napoleonics by saying, don't call it that. So let's start with, I think this was Philip put this one up on the, it's a very long thing, but I'll get to the nub of it. So he thinks it's important to be inclusive and keep it simple. Couple of points. They're planning a Battletech campaign at his club. And we do have people like me who know the background, the lore, and so on. On the other hand, we have guys who just want to run around stomping robots and causing havoc. We're not familiar with the universe. So we do need to keep it accessible, keep it simple and accessible. Other aspect is language in general. I fall into that trap in work and private myself very often, but more complex structures would only be used when needed, and not just because it sounds grandiose. That applies to rule books as well. Keeping it simple, logical, well-structured, a good reference, index, and cross-reference smartly. What do you reckon to that, chaps? Does it matter? I mean, do people, because Steve, you played a lot of those sort of stompy type games. You talk about it a lot with your Space Weirdos and just the simplicity of the rules. And I'm assuming something like Space Weirdos, there's no real language involved, no real sort of lore or anything like that.
No, there's no lore, no background, no fluff. You make it all yourself.
Mm-hmm.
What Space Weirdos gives you is a very, very defined rule book. These are the mechanics. This is how you build a list, and these are a couple of scenarios. Have at it.
Yeah.
There's nothing in there that people. I mean, no one's going to say, "Oh, you've painted your Space Weirdos figures wrong." No one's going to do that. Or because there's no law, you can't get the law wrong. And we all know that some people are heavily into their law and don't like it when mortals get things wrong. Yeah. But with BattleTech, yeah, and same with War Machine as well. I mean, War Machine, you could immerse yourself in the lore, you can, really get into it, or you could just spend half an hour kicking the crap out your opponent's mechs with your big jacks, which which is how you're supposed to play War Machine. But no, I mean, it's a good point. I mean, I think we asked the question, was it last year? Do you have to be interested in history?
Mm-hmm.
to play historical war games?
Yeah.
And I think that's very much a similar vein. I mean, just because if you play BattleTech, you don't. I mean, the BattleTech lore is, I know none of it. Never really knew any of the lore at all. But I mean, there's years and years and years of background and fluff there that people can get immersed in. But if Philip's friends just want to go out and kick the crap out of each other, fair play. It's just the way the game can be played.
Yep. What about you, Martin? Because I mean, in some ways, things like Games Workshop stuff seems to have almost more structure, or as much structure, certainly, as around it as historical, or even in some ways, even more so. Not only because you're restricted to playing, well, they'd like you to be restricted to playing with certain figures and certain factions, but do you think, because you've done both, so what do you think it's more restrictive or less restrictive?
Historicals, do you mean?
Yeah,
specifically. Yeah, I mean, I think that both. I say both. I think that historical gaming and still games, they you can suffer from, let's just say, sort of know-it-all syndrome. But obviously, you have people who are passionate about each subject. Like, I'm deeply passionate about the 15th century and Wars and Roses. But I turned up to. I give you another example, and I'm not trying to go off on a tangent already. So, but for when people play Dungeons and Dragons, some people just want to turn up, kill monsters, take treasure, go home. Sometimes you'll turn up and there'll be a dungeon master in your first game, and they'll have written like a whole background, or they'll give it you these things, say, right, here's the history of my kingdom. Learn this. I just want to kill a goblin. Like, that's what I want to do. You know, and sometimes you do just want to do that in a game.
So is that disrespectful to the games master if you turn up, he spent all that time and effort building a universe for you, and all you want to do is stomp on a goblin?
I think that, and we've talked about this, that I like gaming, but where it's sort of like a look at the scenario that Miller and I did. All right, we came up with that game, the most recent one. We came up with a scenario. I said, "Oh, look at this. How about we adapt this?" He came up with ideas and said, "What about if we use this?" And we came up with the victory conditions. And even though he kicked my ass, not that I'm bitter, we walked away from it after having a really good time. And what I mean is if I turned, I mean, it's great when people do put that amount of effort in, but you've also got to gauge it to what you're playing. So if I had a new player for D&D or for Warhammer or the Wars of Roses, I wouldn't leap into a history lesson. First of all, I would probably say why you're here, why they're fighting, and that's the enemy, and that would be it. Because that's all the average foot soldier would probably know. Kill the ones in red. There you go. That's you're here because you live on this guy's land. He doesn't like that one. But he wants that bit.
You get upset because you do know a lot about that period. I mean, if somebody comes in and basically has made no real effort to learn anything,
if it was I suppose if it was a type of game, or if they were putting themselves forward as some kind of this is how you should play it. Then yes, or if for example. If someone said, I don't know, it's quite hard. We're doing this battle, and this is what it is, and they did a history lesson, and that they did the scenario, and you read the scenario, and I've seen this before. I read the scenario, and it's just wrong. Then I think there is a problem, because you're presenting it as a historical scenario, but it's the same in things like 40k, and that assume there is a lore that's been built up over 30-35 years, and you will get players who they like to tell you. I've discovered this. They like to tell you. So yes, I think it can be off-putting though to new players for any system and any game, if you overload them with information, because ultimately, so for example, when Hayley plays, she likes playing the game. She is interested in the history, but it'll get to a point, and I need to shut the up. Right, so for a good example will be we're going to I'm going back to God's Own Land, Yorkshire on Friday. We're going away because she brought me to we're going to York for my birthday present, and we're going via Towton. Now I know that I will get to a point when we're walking around to Hayley. Ultimately, it's a really big field and there's no cafe, so I will get to a point, but that's what I mean. Ultimately, to me, and I appreciate it's a game. If I was going to the effort of putting on a big participation game in a historical recreation, then I would put more effort into it. Take the Barnet game at CrackCon. We gave as much of the history as we needed to give people the motivations to fight. We gave each character why you're here, who you hate, and we just went for it. And this was the dispositions on the day, and that was it. And then we sort of just went for it. So that's what about you? What's your sort of take on it, as far as sort of?
Well, as I say, I think so. I'm kind of torn. I'm genuinely torn, because I think somebody said here in the chat, the law of historical gaming is history, right? Yeah, that's the law. It's not, to me, I guess, in a certain degree of naivety around sort of fantasy and sci-fi type things for me, because I'm not as experienced as you guys are, not really exposed to it that much, apart from here on this stream. I kind of, in my naivety, I think, well, you can just make it up, right? Because it's fantasy, so you just. And I hadn't quite appreciated how structured some of these games really are, and how many periods they, really, really are. So I don't know. I mean, to me, I say in my head, the business around factions for historical kind of makes me certainly makes the historian in me go and see somehow there's a little bit of me dies. But then part of me also thinks, well, does it really matter? And that's what I have to keep thinking to myself. Does it really matter if some, kid who's just starting out in the hobby journey is using terminology from a different game system on my game? Does it really matter? I grew up in my gaming with, kind of different troop types, like, the WRG system had things like light heavy infantry, light medium infantry, light infantry, medium infantry, heavy infantry, super heavy infantry, extra heavy infantry, dismounted heavy knights, all these kind of, and there's huge gambit of these things that you had to virtually learn, a manual to learn how to play the damn game. Did it make the game any more fun? Probably not. But you kind of felt you had to learn it. So I don't know. It's sort of, I think I've definitely got more mellow about it. What about you, Steve? You get worked up about things like that? Is there anything that you go, because I know you haven't touched a bit of Phil Gray for a long, long time, but you know a lot about Second World War stuff. If someone came in with something that you just thought, that's just wrong.
I was actually thinking about this. I don't care how people paint their figures. I just don't. I mean, if they, I've said before. I mean, if someone wants to paint their, World War II Italians like Mr. Blobby, no, knock yourself out. It's not. It's up to you. But, and again, I find this sometimes on forums or Facebook groups. If you've got a knowledge of something, I'm talking about the flexers here, the ones who've, they've been years and years and years, and they're fully versed. And if someone has done something wrong, don't get offended by it. It's just, it's one of those things. If you do have to impart your knowledge, don't wield it like a sledgehammer.
True.
Just say, well, it looks good. However, what you might want to know is ABC. It should be, they were this color, not that guy. But don't like I say, don't use a sledgehammer. I mean, that's a surefire way of putting up boundaries to a game or a gaming system. Is, I mean, imagine somebody's painted their first set of World War II infantry, and they go on a forum or a group, and they've used a slightly wrong color, and it's easy. It's easy to do. Yeah, and and some grognard comes in and says, with size 12s all over them, they're the wrong color. They should be there. The person's going to go, well, I've just enjoyed painting my toy soldiers. It's all, I think it's all about the approach. Having been on the receiving end of both barrels from some flexes over the years, it's not nice. It isn't nice at all, and it does make you question. Sometimes, why am I doing this? Why am I posting pictures if I'm gonna cop flack because I've got something wrong? Even when you point it out. I mean, like earlier this year, someone posted a comment, or I put some figures on the Ball Section Facebook group, and somebody said the angle of my barrel was wrong.
There's a response on that, and I didn't.
I liked the comment and moved on because life's too short to argue about angles of barrels on 28mm figures. I mean, I've got much better things to do in my time than try and explain why a barrel's at a certain angle. But again, for me, it's the approach. If you're going to flex. People need experts. Or people that are in the know. That's how you learn. I've certainly learned. I've pecked enough people's heads over the years for tips on painting, etc. But when you are dispensing with advice, don't use a sledgehammer.
I think as well. The thing is, and this is the same with 40k, but with history, everyone's an expert, aren't they? Everyone is an expert, and history is so subjective. Ever changing. Evidence is always changing. The way that stuff is interpreted is changing. You've just got to look at the research that's done. Again, from my point of view, just look at Bosworth. I know people who refuse to accept the new Bosworth location in the refights, but they won't do it. They just won't do it. To me, I'm sort of going, well, that's mad. We've got the evidence for it, but okay, whatever. It doesn't They want to do that, that's fine. But it is the same with 40k. Is you have to you know, a little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing. Though I did find it was the Warhammer. I was in the Warhammer Horus Heresy groups. And on the whole, really, really friendly, much friendlier, I found personally than some of the other communities are out there, because they were much more laid back and it was more about a narrative. But because there's a narrative, it means that there's a structure, and therefore there are only X number of spaces. You don't have to do it, but people want to sort of like, do you see what I mean? That like, there's a narrative, there's a structure. If there's no narrative, like for example, Space Weirdos, I'm assuming, I haven't read the rules, but there's no narrative, right?
No.
There's no structure. So there's no way you can really do it wrong. If there's a narrative or any type of thing or any type of game, then there's structure, and you abide by. Some people will want you to abide by the rules within that. And the answer is, if you don't, you know, you can always just use those rules and play differently. But if you want to play that game against other people who enjoy that, then in some ways you have to expect a little bit of. But it's how that knowledge is imparted on you.
I think that you hit a nail on the head there. Definitely, it's how you describe it. But you know, is it important, particularly on the historical side, that we get things right? You know, if you turned up at a World War II D-Day game and you bought, an early war German army to it, would that matter? Or, you know, if you played Towton as a reenactment game, but you bought Agincourt army along, does this sort of stuff, does it matter particularly, do you think?
Only if someone was going to the effort of saying I'm recreating Battle of Towton, and you know, you're going to the effort of actually recreating it, then if you were getting involved with it, I would say, right, you know, in a year's time we're redoing Towton, then you would go to the effort, I think, of making sure that your armies are right, or you know, if someone was recreating Omaha Beach or whatever. If someone said, "Oh, in a month I want to refight Towton," you've got to lower your expectations a bit. Someone might go, "I've only got late 100 Years War figures," and you just go, "Oh well, it's only 20 years. Let's whack them on." I think if you're planning things out and when you're doing them, you have to adjust your expectations slightly. Yeah, you know, that's the thing. Like,
yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it's interesting because people get. I mean, we'll put aside the whole uniform color scheme thing because that's a whole kettle of fish, and we talk about it all the time. But also the fact is, you know, at the end of the day, we're trying to encourage people into the hobby and wanting people to feel comfortable playing it. So by kind of hanging on to some of, frankly, archaic language around things, it can be a bit off-putting. And, you know, I think we do need to change that. I mean, Dave said, here we go. Since my return to the hobby after decades away, I can see the use of complex jargon is variable in gaming circles. One factor appears to me the increasing complexity of the nature of war itself. There are exceptions, but describing ancient seem to be less affected than talking about World War II. Another may be the complexity of granularity associating with skirmish gaming. Tends to be abstract details less rather than army level conflicts leading to obtrusive language. I don't know. Do you think skirmish is more likely to cause problems around language than big battles? I think thinking the other way myself.
But by its nature, right, I'm probably going to get a load of flack for this. I would argue, right, you have to be more abstract in army level, core level gaming.
Yeah,
because you just are. You've got tens of thousands of troops that you're representing. As soon as you move up a level, it becomes more abstract. Skirmish level, if you go down to a base where it is a 1-to-1 ratio, if you like, you have a lot more. That's where you get more stats. You have more things to consider because you're doing it's based on an individual. Even when you go up to something like Black Powder, Hail Caesar, you know, I still get people commenting, going, "Oh, why'd you put archers on the sides of your units?" Like, it's just the way I base them. It's like it doesn't mean that there's archers sitting on the flanks. It just represents all their household men and represents 200, 300, 400 men, a household of people. You know, that's how I just like to do it. You know, you have to, as soon as every level you move up, you have to compromise.
Yeah.
And take a certain level of abstraction, whether that is how far someone can see, the fact that you have a god's eye view of the battlefield, and you have to come up with some sight mechanics. Like Steve, you've read Operation Squad, haven't you? That's granular. That is granular wargaming, and it works really well. But it would not work for anything more than about 7-8 figures aside. I haven't even tried the vehicle rules.
If you tried to play Operation Squad with, I'd say more than 30 figures, I think it would be unwieldy, I guess. I think you'd lose the sense of what the game is. I think that's the important thing. But you are right that it is a granular game. I've not played it, having read the rules. I can see exactly how different it is to other games. It does take a lot of the smaller details into account, but which you wouldn't get with sort of even, I could say, even 30 figures or above. I think you'd lose that. But I guess, like Martin said, though, with bigger games, you do have to lose that granularity. You need because
But also, there's a lot more language, isn't there, around things like what's a divisional game, what's a brigade game, a battalion game. All that kind of stuff becomes, somebody coming in from outside and say, well, what's your figures based to? Is it platoon or battalion? Or I have no frigging idea. It's just a whole load of toys, right? It's tough, right? We talked about this before we started, didn't we, Martin?
Well, yeah. Well, to be honest, I find that's companies. That's people who are selling their product. And someone goes, it's a company level game. It's like, yeah, but what's a company level game in or this is a divisional level? It's like, is that just because you have a division? Like, you can have or is it multiple divisions? They all do it. They're all the same. It just means different things. But once, for example, you play take a Lardy game, for example, and they say this is a, I don't know, company level game. And it's like, well, that they did this game and that was company level, so I know now what to compare it to. But when someone comes out with a new game, take, for example, skirmish gaming is a very good example, actually, because Saga's a skirmish.
Yeah.
Ruckus is skirmish, but that's 12 people. And then never mind, Billhooks is large skirmish to small battle. What point does a skirmish become a small battle? A skirmish by fire and sword is still 500 guys aside.
Yeah.
So again, we're kind of going off subject probably, but again, it's very, very subjective. It always is, and Alex has said in here as well. I know it's good that everyone has their own jargon.
Yeah,
that's absolutely.
Yeah.
Do I think that the jargon in historical war gaming could potentially put off someone who's going to join it? Maybe from the rule. I think historical war gaming is best shown when you have you're doing it. I think if you give someone a book, like a history book, and go, you've got to read this before you can play this game. I'd give them homework. But then it saves for 40k. Do you know how many novels there are for the Horus Heresy? If you wanted to understand,
this is the thing. And I in my naivety, I didn't really think about this at all. But seeing some people's comments, I thought, actually, yeah, it appears to me that's even more so. Shell Shock Cedri's got an interesting point here. He says, I think language in terms of relating to specific mechanics is important. It makes you think or play differently, I think, such as whether a roll is a save or a morale check.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Because by habit, I call, and I try to catch myself, but I think I fail miserably. And I think everyone does. The saves in Black Powder and Hail Caesar, they're not they're morale saves. They're not armor saves. They're not you're just testing for morale. So when you're putting those casualty markers on, it's meant to represent just the ranks falling apart,
tiredness,
maybe an opposite,
people dropping off, at the back.
And but the natural in my head just goes saves on 6. So what are they actually saving? It's not like they're stopping the bullet, is it? It's just like, how are the men reacting to it? So I think that's a really good point. The language around the actual mechanics is a really good point.
Yeah, I think it's a very good one. Dan said, I've yet to dip a toe into historical gaming. I love the miniatures, and Steve's evident enthusiasm is very catching. Hashtag it's Steve's fault. But I find it nigh on impenetrable and very dense. not to mention sparsely played, and even with the same models being used for multiple different systems, I have aversion to investing time and money into things that I'll never get to play. That's interesting. Push aside the sparsely played. I mean, that obviously depends where you are and whether you got access to players, but impenetrable and very dense. I think that's, apart from the reference to Ken, that's kind of interesting. Would you say? I mean, my perception of historical gaming these days, apart from some very specialist rule sets, is actually they're easier to play than they've ever been. In some ways, hearing you talk about 40k and these kind of things, they sound almost easier to play in some ways. You say, Steve, they're impenetrable?
I don't know. I mean, there's been, I think recently over the past 2 years, I've read a lot of rule books, and I think you're right. I think a lot of them are from a sort of a language perspective. I wouldn't say impenetrable. With one caveat, but I've mentioned it before. A war transformed. Wow, that was like a lead curtain. But no, I'm being facetious, obviously. But a lot of rule books I've read have been really excellent. I know Martin's going to go. You can get like a nervous tick now, but Lion Rampant, I found that quite.
Has to be mentioned once.
I found that. In fact, I've got Lion Rampant and Xenos Rampant, and again, both those games, I would say that they are written to be accessible. There's nothing impenetrable about the Rampant games.
Yeah,
I think I've broken Martin. He looks like a broken man.
He's not broken. He's just disappointed.
He's just disappointed.
It wasn't that. I'll keep my opinion to myself. I'll keep my opinion to myself. Yeah.
Daniel makes a good point. He says when he first studied historicals, he was intimidated by the language of the different troop types. What was a grenadier versus a light? What was a centre company, etc.
See, I still don't understand any of that.
But actually, does it really matter?
No,
I wouldn't think.
No.
You know,
I think once you free yourself from it, I mean, it's fine if you want to represent your battalions 24 men strong with 4 grenadiers, 4 voltigeurs, and the rest is fusiliers. That's fine. But I got bored of that, and I just did loads of grenadiers pushing the fusiliers forward.
Yeah.
I just thought it looked fun.
Yeah,
it just looked fun. That's what I did in the Crusades, and but if people like that regimented stuff. Red Steph has just said, do you separate morale check? I think that's what that pays their break tests. So that's the difference. But then they're under a section called morale. So the break tests are under a section in the book called morale, but your morale saves are some for casualties. But you do break tests to see if your people leg it. It's the jar. I can understand, but then it's no different for 40k. I've got the 30k rulebook down here, and it's bigger than I would say every single one of my other rulebooks, with maybe the exception of by fire and sword. So it's but no. Lion Rampant, yes, is not. How did you call it? Not impenetrable.
Not impenetrable. That's a sort of faint praise there, isn't it? That's really.
Yeah,
that's almost damning in it. That's almost like.
to be fair, I think that could broadly be applied to a lot of the books that Osprey do, though. I mean, I've bought quite a few of them over the past couple of years, and I don't think there's many. Again, apart from AWT, that I've gone, well, these are difficult. I mean, after a read or a couple of readers, you tend to grasp it.
I wouldn't describe any of my daughter's books as impenetrable, but no. I'll try to put Lion Rampant on their bookshelf and see if I can turn up if they're playing with their toys in the room. See if they.
So I feel Robin might be a little bit spiky with this one, but I actually agree with the sentiment, and I'm interested by this. So it doesn't matter at all. But 5 minutes on Google would also address the knowledge gap. Yeah. and so kind of that's another throw-in question here. Do you think that there's if you're going to play a game and you're going to come and invest in a hobby and you're going to come to a club or to a shop or to somebody's house, shouldn't you at least learn a little bit about what the game is about and what the historical period is or what the lore is or what does that not show respect a little bit to some degree?
Yes. Yeah, you're right. If you've got a little bit of guidance, because with historicals, 5 minutes on Google, and you can end up on some really, really random sites.
You can go down some very
Wikipedia is not a reference, and it's I've seen some things. If we're talking about, I have, yes, some people have painted up stuff for the Wars of the Roses based on information that they've Googled, and it's completely wrong. I haven't said anything because it's their figures and they went and they found it. I know it's wrong. Part of me in my head twitches. I got signed up to a certain society for my birthday, and I'm on their Facebook group, and I check it daily because they've got daily posts. And I have replied to a few things because when they post about the battles, this society, it's just wrong. The stuff is just embarrassingly wrong.
Wasn't there a book we picked up at a certain reenactment that you spent the next couple of days explaining to me why it was entirely wrong and should have been pulped?
Oh yeah. But for that, I found out though, because that was again my assumptions, and I was wrong.
Oh,
so that turned out. No.
Bugger! I pulped that book because of you. God damn.
You? Oh, I've still got mine. It's not wrong. It was based on new research and my assumptions. The fact that they didn't really actually say there's some new research which shows that the precious Richard III was actually the Duke of Gloucester was actually the one who ran away at Barnet and not Hastings. But if you tell a Richard III society the name of society that I'm now a member of, because of my friends, they get very, very upset. It's very funny how they will challenge the history, when it refers to Richard in a bad way. But he was, the magnanimous king. But then suddenly when it changes and he was the one who ran away based on new research, oh no, that's wrong. And the old story is the right one. So anyway,
okay. Well, let's have a little breather, shall we, before everyone gets very het up. There's been some fabulous comments which I am trying to star and keep up with, so we'll come back to it.
Been very, very respectful.
They have been very respectful.
I noticed now. Just going to say that, bless him, I love Ken to bits, but when he's not here, stir in the pot, in the cup.
What do you mean? Have we heard from Ken? Is he still around?
Yeah. Well, yes, because he's not doing his paper game anymore, is he? So we were talking to him the other day, and then I filled him on a couple of other things because we thought he was about to start giving away tickets, and we had to point out that we'd sold out. He's doing well. He is slowly trying to do some more gaming, isn't he? He's trying to get there.
Every so often there'll be a flurry of him saying things and then get involved, and then he'll disappear again. So, well. Hopefully he'll be back at some point soon for all you Ken lovers out there, so to speak. Right, should we do a bit of news and then we'll catch up with some of the comments from other people? I haven't got a huge amount, but let me hit
I've got quite a lot, but it's very GW orientated.
Oh God, here we go. Right. Do you want to hit us with some GW then? Go on then.
Well, they've had one of their I don't even know what you call them anymore. Just one of their things where they released lots of information. So gonna make me scroll. Okay, actually, I've got quite a lot. Okay, let's start with GW. So for Warhammer. No, hang on, let me get this right. For the Horus Heresy.
Mm-hmm.
I want to watch Dom's face now for the rest of this. So for the Horus Heresy,
hang on, I'm just going to drink.
For the Horus Heresy, they have now released the Mechanicum, which I think people
the Mechanicum, fantastic!
Exactly.
I've been waiting for that.
So that's the battle group box, but these are the Archmagos Prime, which is the character for his. But I actually quite like that because I like things that scuttle. That's the. Go on, you say that, Dom. Go on, that is gone.
Absecular Tech Thrall Covenant.
That sounds like some kind of punk band, doesn't it? There's these things which
I absolutely love them. They are fantastic.
That looks like what was that Space Family Robinson with the robot? It looks
Lost in Space.
Lost in Space. He looks like a seriously upgraded version.
I thought it looked like. Do you remember Batteries Not Included?
Yeah.
It looked like they grew up. So it's those. There is I quite like these things. The Fax cohort, but I would use these like just in sort of just any sci-fi game, any just general sci-fi game, maybe Xenos Rampant, which I don't mind.
Yeah.
There's this thing,
Oh,
which just looks, it's got some kind of blender on its back. And then the thing which actually I thought was the least interesting, which was that I just thought, I was like, that just looks like something from the Robot Worlds that Craig Charles used to host.
or wacky races or something.
Yeah. So there's those, but I know that there's quite a few people who like the Horus Heresy, and the fact that those are all coming out now in plastic instead of the Forge World sort of resin stuff should excite a lot of people. So that was that part of the GW thing, but there's more. There's more, Dom. There's more.
Oh God.
So there is what was this? I'm just going to click on this. So there's some new book for Age of Sigmar, because they do these narrative cycles of campaigns, and this is book 6. And this is the last one, called Hounds of Chaos. And I just picked out some of the what I thought looked quite cool, which was this guy, who I thought could be used in Warlords of Erewhon or Frostgrave or that thing that Don plays that I've forgotten that he's played one game of, actually. Yeah, Oathmark, that was it.
Oathmark.
So there we go. There was that. Then there was, I don't know what they are. There's a guy on a, there's a, there's three guys on horses protecting a girl on a chaos lady on a big whatever it is. But I'm sure it is, but yeah, I know that they're all to do with this. That's her on the front. Okay, right. So it's a big narrative thing. There is a new guy, I've completely forgotten his name, for Middle Earth. This is for Arnor. This is for the Northern Realm. So this is the closest you're going to get to actually knowing what it is, Dom. But this is one of the chaps from the Northern Kingdoms, because they're re-releasing the Arnor models and they're making new ones. So as with all the Middle Earth stuff, which I quite like about the commanders, you get the guy on foot and on the horse, because you can knock them off in the game. Then there were new Skaven. I don't know if you saw this, Steve.
Oh yeah,
So I really like this. Now I don't know what people thought about this. Skaven Cavalry. Well, I just thought that was a really cool model.
That is a fantastic looking model.
It does look like something I saw scuttling around in Derby. That was very cool.
That is,
I mean,
really nice.
I wouldn't know where to start painting something like that. Gee whiz.
I definitely like the way the Skaven, there's a slight new aesthetic for them. I think I need more skulls. I just think that they look. Yeah, they look really good. I'm really tempted.
Is James not seen batteries not included? You know, you know what I'm talking about, don't you? You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, the film with the little space. Yeah. And then there was this one, which was a Skaven thing, which is really cool. Really cool, but again, it's usable in lots of things. I would probably buy that and use it in like D&D or the Rangers of Shadow Deep, and it would just kill us. Mind you, a rat kills
everything kills you lot.
So, and then there was one final thing for Warhammer, and trust me, I didn't put everything up. This thing they've done has been really big. There's a new Necromunda game called Hive. I don't know if you see it. It's called Hive Secundus. Steve, this is a dungeon crawler essentially.
Really?
Set in Necromunda. Yes, you have. I didn't put up all the pictures, but you have teams who basically, you buy your gear and then you go into Hive Secundus to nick tech and treasure and then come back. So it's a dungeon crawler. There's like gene sealers mutated down there and other mutants, and you go in and you come back with stuff. So yeah, have a look at it. It's called Hive Secundus. See, I'm more interested in that than any of the other stuff. But anyway,
that sounds interesting.
Yeah, I know you like your Necromunda. I've got some non-Warhammer stuff.
Oh wait, I'll wake up. Yeah,
I did it. So for the 80th anniversary of D-Day, I only just found out what the D stood for in D-Day, and I was. Do you know? Well, this is what I read. Is it day? It's just day. It's day.
I don't actually know.
Because it was deep.
I honestly don't know.
It was a pub quiz question, and we got loads of sat there. I was like, I don't actually know. I'm probably, maybe I'm wrong. I just because again I consulted Wikipedia, so. But
I'm sure somebody in the chat will tell us.
I'm sure it'll be Alex.
Yeah, first one up, Alex.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go.
So, Battlefront have released some sets.
Nice.
You can get the 7th Armour Division set, which is very nice. They've got the 21st Panzer Division, which I thought was quite cool. And it comes with a sort of objective marker as well, and also they've got the Panzer Lehr Division, and it's got rid of the photo of the other one that I put up, which was the American one, which is gone. So yeah, they put together these army packs. Also releasing on D-Day is the V for Victory.
Yeah.
Five.
No, it's V for Victory. We're not going to.
Is it? Is what you know? Which is also on the 6th of June, which has been used as a release date for quite a lot. And in my brain, I'm like, is it okay? I guess it's okay. We do it for other things. It's just obviously it's more recent than other stuff, so I don't know. So yeah, that Studio Tomahawk have said that, and it's available, I believe, to pre-order on North Star now. So I would be interested. I would be interested to see what
people be interesting in it. Yes, I'm intrigued by it. I have to say, I am quite intrigued by it.
Yeah,
I may have pre-ordered it.
Well, I will wait for your glowing review. But yeah, that's what I saw. So there's quite a bit of stuff out there this week. So
I saw Bloody Miniatures.
Oh God, yes,
So he apparently the next wave for Bloody Miniatures is another unit of mounted troops, mounted dragoons, and then he said he thought he better do some horse holders to go with them. So
absolutely,
they're not quite finished yet, apparently. But
I was on the verge of buying the Bicorn ones, and because I always intended to use my Bloody Miniatures as dismounted dragoons.
Yeah,
and I was well, I just don't have the mounted ones. Oh, I'll just use Bicorn because it's the same sculptor. But now knowing that they're on the way, I'm
you've
waiting.
held fire.
They're not that the Bicorn sculpts aren't nice. It's just
they're lovely.
That same style and
yeah. I think he said in the newsletter that one of the existing ones is already sort of stand up like he could be holding the horses already. So.
There's also one of the pack where there is a dismounted dragoon pack.
There is,
already.
You're right.
There's one of them that's already because I need them. Sir Thomas Hollingsworth needs to raise his unit of dragoons to take on whatever Miller's guy was called. I forgot.
Awesome.
Samuel Potato Face or something. I can't remember.
Samuel Potato Face.
Fear God. That was it.
Was it Seagull Splatter? Something like that.
Seagull Splatter.
Also, actually, I'm quite intrigued by this. So, Skytrex have brought out. Skytrex, obviously part of Warlords now. Some card holders and things for Actung, which I think is a good move. So this is. This is to hold all the event cards and what have you, and tokens.
Oh, right. I didn't know they were doing that. I knew they were doing dials. Dashboards. Yeah. I knew they were doing those. Yes, they had those at Salute. Yeah.
But I think these are kind of cool.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you can if you're clever with 3D. £9 for that. Yeah, which I don't think is too bad. I'm sure if you're clever with 3D printers or what have you, there's probably loads of files out there to do this for virtually nothing. But for Luddites like me, they're pretty cool. And I'm quite excited about having extra counters that you get with those because I'm going to lose those counters. They are so little fiddly things. So the fact they got another set there is going to be really useful. So so that was interesting to me at least. And also US Rangers. Steve, you seen this?
Oh yeah, with the Saving Private Ryan, Saving Private Ryan add-on.
Oops, sorry.
So yeah, you can make a number of characters from Saving Private Ryan. I think they've got some additional bits and pieces in the box.
Awesome. Has that gone up? £37 for 24 figures. Has that gone up? A lot.
I think it's was that $37? Was it?
No, it was pounds. That was.
Was it?
Sterlings. Yeah, £37.
Must be my eyesight. Yeah, I think that might be. Is it standard? I don't know what a standard Warlord infantry box is these days.
Because if you go to Boards and Swords and apply the PCP5 code, you'll get not only their healthy discount, but you get an additional 5% off. So that's probably why we never know what the real price is.
Yeah. Yes.
Interesting. So yeah, that's what I saw. That's all I saw. Actually, I'm sorry.
So remember as well. Yes, Ian still has. You can get your Hannibal pre-orders over on there for all your little Nellies and your Carthaginians and your Roman hoplites and Velites and Numidians and heavy cavalry, light cavalry, and lots of other stuff.
Oh, apparently, according to Peter, it's 30 figures. Sorry, not 24 figures. So 37 quid for 30 figures. Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks for the correction. Saving Private Ryan is the space version of the movie. Well done. Well done. Awesome. So let's go back to some of the comments on the topic, because there was some really good stuff that was coming in. I'll finish off some of the pre-submitted, shall we say. So another long one. Steve Price, if you are passionate about a subject and you want to use and share that knowledge, if you engage with someone, they will be far more receptive to it. So I don't think there's an issue with terms if presented with brief explanations. It's the how is critical. If someone I'd learnt the game first and foremost, you want to teach the game. Background can add to the experience, but only if it isn't in the way. If they buy into the game, they will, at their own pace, probably explore the history. But if they're fun to play, does it really matter? I've run hundreds of demos for Games Workshop, and I often see people going on about how daunting and dense their worlds can be. But if you need to know none of it to play, orcs are brutal aliens, the mob culture who want to get stuck into scrap, Marines are elite super soldiers in powerful armor, brief portrait that gives a sense of what's happening and what's involved. The same should apply for history. I think that's really well said myself.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to learn it, fantastic. But you don't have to. You definitely don't have to.
No, but
enjoy
I
the
would
game.
argue that then some of that will lie, obviously, with the companies because they want to sell their stuff. And they will obviously, with marketing and, the way the beast works, they will want you to buy that stuff. So then no one's ever going to, they have starter sets and things, but they're going to want to pump more stuff, know the background to this, know the background to that. So like, just take me just now. I was just trying to work out what that Dawnbringer's thingy. And I tried Googling it and I suddenly got this massive, it's got its own wiki. It's essentially an expansion for it, and it's got novels and campaign books and armies and some of its own mechanics and shit, which is great. I think it's awesome that people can do that. But what do I need it to just play with? Can I just use those models in the game?
Yeah,
in a normal game, and I assume you can. And I'm not suggesting quite. But do you see what I mean? They want you to buy their product, so they're gonna.
Of course they do.
Yeah,
but also in some companies also want to lock you into their rule systems, don't they? So they'll sell the rules, but they also want you to buy their figures, and the two will be hand in glove, very much so. James, also another long response. Cracking topic. Gromit. I think historical wargaming suffers from this immensely, and even fantasy does to an extent. There's some fantastic examples of great people who support newcomers, but on the whole, it can be an impenetrable wall. It's just an obstacle, especially to the new and transitioning wargamers. I've met some of those. Far too often, I see discussions where a newbie to a game or community gets bombarded by historical idiosyncrasies such as platoon organization, on paper strengths, SS-143, and historical order of battles. We should be encouraging and supporting any new gamers, however they want to play, and whatever they want to play, not pushing them off at the first hurdle with complexities or telling them they're doing something wrong. It makes it less daunting and gets them hooked. once they're in, it's great, and if they're interested in these things, if not, they play how they want. It's just toy soldiers after all. Yeah, agreed. And I guess that's where I came from. This initially was thinking about the, as I say, that kind of whole thing about, do we put it off? Do we make it easy? And I personally think that it's never been easier in some ways. I mean, you pick up a set of rules these days, it's a lot easier to play than it ever used to be.
Yes, I think it is becoming easier, but I do think that, like any community where there are some people who enjoy, I don't want to enjoy the complexity, just they like the way things work. Where we've had this because we've had emails, we've had
a few run-ins with people.
We've had a few, and there's some people that like things, being so weird, and that is the same in lots and lots of communities. Metal is very much like that. Heavy metal is one of the most closed-minded communities you could ever get involved with. I do think that those games are easy, but it's getting access to them and making sure that there's people who want to play it. And the thing is, down the club, like you say, there are games there aren't games sometimes that people would play down the club. Those easier, lighter historical games, or those gateway games that you could then necessarily I know, like Graham has Saga, which is great, and you could probably introduce someone to Saga through that, or Test of Honor. But I think if in clubs, or in my experience of clubs, is people and for good reason, the traditional historical games that people like, and those newer, you say the newer ones that are sort of coming out, I don't think get as, in my opinion, from what I've seen in the clubs here, they don't get as much play. They come out, there's a few novelty games, and then they go back to playing GDA, which I think is a good game, but I don't know if someone would play it as their first ever historical game. If they
it's a tough system to pick up if you've never played any kind of Napoleonics, that's for sure. Yeah. I have to say, it's interesting because there's a guy who came down to Farnborough a couple of weeks ago now, and he was a reenactor and painter. He was, he paints figures. A guy called Matt, really nice chap. It's just, I've got to catch up with him because I want to find out how it went. So he and his mates decided they were going to put on a participation game at Partisan. And he had painted some beautiful, beautiful, epic Napoleonic figures. I mean, tons of them. They were beautiful. He'd done an amazing job with them. Never played the game in his life. No idea what he was doing. The two guys in his group who were going to be hosting this game had to drop out. And so him and another guy who'd never played the game before were going to be running a game of Partisan with these beautiful figures. So he came down and we were trying to walk him through Black Powder. And, he had never played anything. So he had no concept. I mean, he'd done reenactment and he was a Napoleonic reenactor. So he at least had some principles about, how troops fought and what have you, but beyond that, no idea. And it was kind of interesting just to sort of walk somebody through something as simple as Black Powder, which is a pretty simple system to run through, and just to, help him out along the process. And I hope he enjoyed it. I don't know what's happened with his Partisan game, but I'll catch up with him hopefully next week if he comes back to the club. If he doesn't come back, then maybe that's how it all went, and maybe our teaching was terrible. But it was kind of interesting because you sort of have to recalibrate how you talk about a game when you're talking with somebody who's never even rolled dice in a game before, let alone move, figures or anything. So it was kind of very interesting to have that perspective. And it does make you approach the rules in a very different way. Oh, Glendur, you did meet up with him. That's good. He said, I'll send you some pictures. It did look good.
Oh, yeah, please do.
All right.
I'd love to see it because the figures were amazing. He came in with these about, I don't know how many boxes of and he'd done the whole, I don't know how many lines there are in those Napoleonic battalions that warlords give you. But just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these beautiful figures. He'd done an amazing job. So anyway, that was my bit. Right. Is there one more question? Oh no, I did, James. So let's have a look at some of the comments that people put in. I think a lot of them were very similar. in terms of comments and what have you. But Carl says the language of Napoleonic troop types and uniforms is mind-boggling. Yeah, I think so.
I can understand when you're going about old guard, middle guard, and young guard. I'm like, they're just. What does that even mean? Why do I even? I can sleep soundly in my bed tonight, not knowing what any of that means.
Yeah, it's true. But also, you can play the game without really needing to know that.
I was going to say that you wouldn't. If you were introducing someone to like Napoleonic Wargaming, you wouldn't say, right, before we roll some dice, let's sit down and give you a 3.5 hour rundown of the different troop types and who goes where and who wears what. You wouldn't do that. No. You wouldn't do it for any period. I mean, just want to roll some dice.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's, you just, I say with Matt, we just said, well, these guys are veterans. They've been through lots of battles. They know what they're doing. These guys are novices. So, they're probably not going to be quite so comfortable under fire. So, that's probably all you need to know, right, when you're playing a game. If the rules play it out reasonably accurately anyway. So, yeah, I agree, though. It's interesting. Friends of General Haig, I think this was reference to my talk about all the different types of ancient categories. Oh, God, I'd forgotten about irregular C, extra heavy camels, lance, bow, shield.
Extra heavy camels.
Yeah, that was a thing. They were a thing. And if you go through those old War Games Research Group ancient rules and army lists, those were the sort of troop types you got. It's just awesome. I mean, I just loved that. I spent most of my early youth just working through army lists of these things because, 5 to 20. So you can have five between 5 and 20 figures in your army. Minimum of 5, maximum of 20. There you go. I remember. Great stuff. Andy. God damn. Robin says writing style of some rule books can make things hard to digest. I'd imagine that this is amplified to the less experienced. Yeah, it does come down to the rules, doesn't it? If they're written in a way that are easy to understand with pictures and examples, and that would be kind of handy, wouldn't it? And maybe an index or two. I love
index.
I mean, how many times do the rules not have an index? Just what the friggin' hell are you playing at? Steve, you love a simple rule set, don't you? I mean, that works, doesn't it? Something that's simple.
No, it did, and I think this is why. It's why I enjoy.
I don't mean that rudely. I just know he loves the 1-page rule set, doesn't he?
Because there'll be space where you can learn that game in 15 minutes. I know when I ran it at CrackCon, Richard and his son were there, and his son's only ever played 40k, and he liked it.
Yeah.
What I'd love to do is get a bunch of 40k, dyed-in-the-wool 40k players and say, let's have a game of Space Weirdo, shall we? And just see how receptive they would be to a sort of a really direct rule set with no background, no fluff. You don't use measuring tapes. It'd be interesting.
See, I'm intrigued by that because as I would consider myself a die-hard historical gamer, probably will die hard. In some ways, I love those kind of things, but also those kind of rules do also put me off. Because so if I've had a few beers and I'm just having a laugh with my buddies or what have you, or we've been down a convention and we just want to chuck some dice, I see that as fun. But if I was to go down the club and we played a game like that, I think I'd be a bit frustrated myself. I don't know why. Just would. Not that I want to play ultra complicated game, but
so if you took Space Weirdos to your club, you might be tarred and feathered.
Oh, Jono wouldn't talk to me for at least a month and a half. At least. Yeah. No, absolutely not. He doesn't like any weird. If you think I don't like weird shit, Jono, sheesh. Yeah. No, definitely not. I don't know. It's interesting. I like a little bit of sophistication around the game, probably to make up for the lack of sophistication I have. But I do like the fact if it's overly complicated, I find that very frustrating. Overly simple, I find it a little bit frustrating.
I would argue then that Bushido is because you've got to mention it as a game because that has a really elegant combat mechanic and the system. Which, if you just look at those cards without knowing rules, your mind will go.
No, that was that was what I was like. I remember before I played that first game at CrackCon.
Yeah,
and we were in group chat and you were asking about the cards, and I was like, I have got no clue.
Is that when I sent the picture of the card and like I drew a circle around it, going this one,
Yes, that one.
like,
Yep.
because, but again, I don't think, and I love Bushido, but I think the rule book is not that great. I think it's very serviceable when you play it, because I think once you've played it, you go back to the rule book. Now, I was fortunate enough to I've played it quite a lot, but I think if you, and I know people who pick up that rule book and they look at it and go, I don't, this has put me off. I love the models, I like the cards, I like how you've kind of explained it works, but this rule book it seems a bit impenetrable because it doesn't necessarily follow the order in which you play a game. It follows the order. I don't know really what kind of order it follows, but Steve, like when you play, it is a straightforward game. It's just that there's ways of working out lots of different situations, and when that situation comes up, you just go to the relevant part of the book. But the combat is very.
It's a great. I absolutely love the combat system. What I would say is that with Bushido, because it's so small and there's a fair amount of tokens and cards, I think if someone walked past, they might get the impression it's massively complex. And I think sometimes games can do that. I mean, just the size of a game can look complex.
Yes.
But when you actually start playing it, though, it's. I mean, after when we played it, I mean, I'd never. I don't think Ian had played it before. And within 10, 15 minutes, we both had a sort of a grasp on what we were doing. It was good.
It does help with these sort of games when you've got somebody who knows the rules, can work you through the basics of them, or at least can show you what you're doing wrong. Because I learned. Well, I think that's why so many game videos do well on YouTube, is because people learn from looking at the game and thinking, even if your rules are not quite right, as mine often are, I think, just sort of to work through how the system, you think, that's how that works.
Funny you should mention that, Dom. Remember the other week I said that I wasn't going to put anything Space Weirdos related on my channel? I've changed my mind. I'm actually going to do a introduction to Space Weirdos basics.
Good stuff.
So just go over movement, combat, melee, skills, etc. And
you need to call it a different, like you need to have on your thumbnail, like just the characters is why you should drop 40k and play this.
That's what you need.
That's what you need to do. Like,
I gave up GW and I never looked back.
I'm
Space Weirdos is the new sexy or something like that.
And lots of red arrows pointing in random directions. Although that seems to be the meta at the moment for thumbnails. But no, I'm doing that. I'm definitely doing that. That is on the way for all 12 people that will watch it. This game will kill Warhammer.
There you go. There's your thumbnail. There you go.
Oh dear me.
Excellent. No, I think that's true. Whatever. David says with historical law is history. Yeah, I think we said that earlier. I think that's
again, it's very true. Perception of history, and that's very subjective. If you read a book from one person and then a different novel, Wars of Roses is a good example because there's so many agendas in there. Trying to actually knuckle down something and actually get some facts right can sometimes be quite hard.
I think Alex is with me a little bit on this. He says players can do what they want with a game and their toys, but there should be an onus on somebody writing the historical rules that should at least pick up a book on the history. I don't know what you're referencing there, Alex, but I agree. I mean, it's a historical game, and if it's set in a historical universe or setting or time period or whatever the lingo is you want to use, it should at least bear some relevance to that. You can't just go off and do a Ridley Scott here, can you? I did mention it. Sorry.
That should become the new drinking thing. Forget 3D printing. Now, if you mention, point of order. Yeah. Second, that's it now. The 3D printing thing, that's happening now. Can we change the drinking thing to if it's Ridley Scott or Waterloo? That's the new buzzword.
You got a drink at that point.
Okay. The trigger word. Yeah,
I think that's fair enough.
I keep getting
many years ago. Sorry,
I keep getting recommended Napoleon on Amazon. It's not going to happen though.
I still haven't watched it. Still haven't watched it. I'm gonna drink a lot of whiskey and watch it. I think that's the way I'm gonna do it. I'll probably love it.
£67 glass whiskey.
Absolutely, it's the only stuff to drink, isn't it, Martin? That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Red Steph says, many years ago, I took my family to Naseby. The kids still say 20 years later, nice grass, Dad.
Yeah, that's about, yeah. That's the sort of
that's the sort of comment we all get for taking our kids. Actually, my girls were, well, especially Imogen, was extremely violent as a kid. And so she used to love it when you went to see the reenactors knocking lumps out of each other. She wanted to get involved. Like, for goodness sake, you're a bit of a psychopath there.
All I can remember at Bamborough Castle when my parents took me to Bamborough, which I'd love to go back to Bamborough, and because there's so much I'd like to see and visit, is that it was well bloody windy, and I nearly got, and that's all I remember. It was windy. Dad, you may just got this windy day, and I nearly got blown off the battlements. That's the only thing I remember.
Major Clanger says, a component of good language of a good-looking game is great figures and a lovely table. Yeah, fair enough. I tend to agree. It doesn't matter what period it is, whatever. We can walk around a convention and see a game. If it's a beautiful looking game with lovely figures and lovely terrain, you can almost put up with anything, really, can't you?
I'll put on a really nice game of SPQR for you, Dom. I'll get a really nice.
I said almost. I said almost. You wouldn't soil yourself with SPQR. I know you wouldn't. You got more respect than that. Alex says, "What are my references about 90?"
That was so true. That was just so not.
Okay, I've had a couple of cats. That's all I'm saying. Don says, I think things are changing a bit with rules becoming more accessible. Not all of them, of course, but I think there are enough rule sets out there that now are easier for newcomers to get into. I mean, that's always been the curse and also the boon of historical gaming particularly, isn't it? I mean, if you want to play Napoleonics, how many rule sets are there out there? I mean, which is great, but also terrible because you can play it one group of people and then move to a new area and nobody ever plays the damn thing. So yeah, I think that's true. Lionheart says, I would definitely point new historical players towards bolt action for the fact that army books and supplement books have great information about the period, yet not too much to overwhelm them.
Fair point.
I think that's a very fair point. I mean, those books are, in their own right, they're great books, I think, just to read. I love reading them. He wouldn't soil himself with SPQR, but he might use it to clean himself up. Yeah, true. Yeah. I think that's true. Oh God, I've lost them now. Where's the questions? Here we go. John says, far too many rule sets try to set themselves up as authorities. WRG was the greatest example of this. Yeah, I think that's true. I don't know about WRG. I think that's more of a time period where all rule sets tended to do that kind of thing. They were very much of the persuasion that this was a historical and mathematical lesson rather than the game. I think the thing about I think period rules have changed now so much. It's so much more about the game, just enjoying the game with a historical flavour, which I think is good for the hobby. I think generally. Yeah. Trevor says, I'm currently doing Wars of the Roses. However, being given the Warlord Waterloo starter set, I'm reluctant to start, fear of getting wrong shade of uniform, colour, design, etc. Don't, Trevor. Just dig in. Go online, have a look at some of the plates you'll see, and you'll see anybody who knows anything about the periods that we look at, even up into the modern period, the color schemes and the different sort of dyes that we used varied so much, and after time in the field would be so different. It doesn't really matter. Just keep to broad themes. French are blue, Brits are red, Prussians are blacky brown, bluey color, Russians are green, that kind of stuff, and you'll be fine. That's all you need to worry about. Trage says, my partner's new to wargaming, says that language at first is off-putting. That's really sad. I think that's the bit I worry about. Is I don't want anybody to be put off from this great hobby, because to me that's the fun of it, is getting out there and having a go. What else we got here? I think a lot of people are making the same point. Yeah, Robin again. Surely when you take up a new hobby, whether it's knitting, gaming, or lawn bowls, you have to accept there's a learning curve and almost a knowledge piece of it, a price of entry to get the most from it. Yeah,
my guitar playing learning curve was about 7.5 years. Until I could actually play somewhat decent, and I'd shredded my fingers to complete nothingness. But no, it's true. Unless you're like some kind of savant, you're not going to take up a new hobby and be all conquering and all knowing within 24 hours. No,
and I think that to me that goes back to this business about. So to play a game, if somebody comes into your club or your shop or your wherever you happen to put your convention, you're putting on a game and plays a game, they shouldn't be having to know anything particular about the game at all to have a fun time.
No.
However, if they then want to explore and get into building an army and anything, I think there is a certain obligation on them to at least learn the basics around it. To Robin's point, I think you don't.
What if they become more of an expert than you?
Good. They can correct me. I don't care. No, I don't get precious about things. I mean, I'll play Napoleonic games set in the peninsula with British troops from the Waterloo campaign. I live on the edge. I don't care. So I'm not that much pedantic about anything, particularly on the rules, but I do like to know a bit about the period. I think for me, again, we talked about this many times. Part of the fun of wargaming is the research, is digging into what happened. And funnily enough, I started to do a video today for an update video, and I bought a couple of books on Gettysburg because I've said for many years now that I'm going to do a 28mm American Civil War army in 28mm, and I thought, what, for the first time in my life, I'm actually going to build it around a real army. And actually I wanted the army list to work through the army list, because I've never done that. Never ever done it.
You're not?
No.
I thought that would have been something you. No. Like, you mean like the proper order of battle? And
yeah.
Like who was
yeah, I'll take a division or a brigade or whatever. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but and just build it around that. I've never ever done that before in all the years I've done historical gaming.
You need to tap into Don's brain. He is the go-to for anything like that.
He's the goat of ACW. Okay, I will do. Well, I'll pick his brain, because it probably won't be done before CrackCon, that's for sure. But yeah, he's already in. Longstreet is my man, apparently. There you go. If you say so. I thing is, I don't have a particular. Unlike some historical periods where I have a particular penchant or particular, preconception about what I want to do, with the ACW I don't particularly, which is kind of interesting for me as well, which is why I think I'm going to build it around particular brigades or divisions, because it's not like I must have the 4th Texas, whatever they are, or the Ironsides or whatever it may be.
Do Zouaves.
Yeah, that's the only ones with any color, isn't it? Pretty much.
Yeah, I think Andy's comment is the greatest comment ever. ACW, it's all about the beards. Absolutely. I'm not joking. When you watch the Civil War by Ken Burns, I am taken aback by the sheer artistry of their facial foots. Oh, it's something else. I wish I could grow something like that.
Awesome stuff. Rogue Trooper says, I think most of us have played games, cocked up on the rules, learned from it, and got better as we played each game. Best way to pick up the rules. I'm still doing it, mate. Reference my GDA 2 game, which was more like a 1.5 game. And a number of people pointed out all the inaccuracies I got in those. But, whatever. You learn by your mistakes, right? Oh, blimey, I'm getting lots of ACW advice. Peter says, a good starting point is USS First Corps at Gettysburg, or part of the Ace. Oh, my God. That's why I've got the books to read them, you see. That's how I know. I know the broad themes. I know the general stuff, and I know certain regiments that are particularly renowned, but yeah, details I don't know. Right. Let's do some of our wonderful viewers' pictures, shall we? Reminder, if you haven't already joined the Facebook page, please do. There's a link in the description down below. You just have to answer 3 nice simple questions, please, just to stop the spam and the bots and what have you coming in. Unless you get lucky and get one of these 2, I'll let anybody in. We just go through some of the pictures of people's games and work in progress, just to show a few of them. Can't show them all because there's so much good stuff out there. I picked up quite a lot of games because there's a lot of games on the site, which I thought really, really cool. So to that end, I'm going to go weird shit straight out the back. I don't care.
Good.
Oh, good stuff.
This is Bill and his wife playing Frostgrave.
Oh, Frostgrave! I need to play Frostgrave. I've got the rule book, never played it, but that is. I mean, one thing about Bill's games, they always look fantastic, and that is lovely. Proper old school fantasy setting there.
I love it. Is that really built cool? Using those we used to cast. I can't remember what they'd be plastered. There was this company just made loads of molds that you could then use plaster. What were they? I can't remember what they were called, but they were lovely. But you would just get the molds, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I can't remember the name. What were they called? Oh, it's going to bug me all night now.
Don't know. They look cool. I like them.
Someone in the
really cool.
So
yeah, it's that. Andy was showing
Hearst Arts. Hearst Arts. They're called Hearst Arts.
Hearst Arts. Okay, there you go. These are Andy's late Romans.
Oh, I like these. Really like them.
I love the.
Very cool.
Love them. They're brilliant.
Do like the late Romans. What would you do though if someone bought late Romans to a Republican game?
I'd say you still fighting the wrong side.
Send them to the Colosseum.
Yeah, you wouldn't. That's just a good point. You wouldn't care.
I wouldn't care.
So Roman's a Roman.
Yeah, I just attack them with my hairy ass ghouls. Be fine.
Do you know what you might say with your hairy ass?
Craig, I like this. He's working on little sort of mini diorama for his skirmish figures. He's a French dismounted dragoon, and he's putting it behind a wall, which is kind of cool. I would claim hardcover every time with that in a game. Absolutely, don't care. But he's in the middle of a field. He's got hardcover behind a wall. Be perfect. I love these games. This was the Battle of Hanu from David. He put a whole series of pictures from this game. Absolutely, it got me moist. That's all I'm going to say. Really got me moist. I thought that's so awesome.
Now. He's moist. He's got a hairy ass.
Tom, you've revealed more about yourself in the past 90 seconds, and I'm entirely comfortable with.
I know.
Yeah,
I want to complain to HR, please. Who's our HR manager?
Ken.
Anything goes. Andrew has been refurbishing some old.
The Witchers. Yes, they're an absolute blast from the past.
There's some amazing pictures. I have no idea what they are, but
they're witch elves.
Oh.
There's a whole. All I know is there's like a lot of attacks on there. And then if they got into a second round of combat, the witch elves would just die. Only
that's a frightening thought.
Only bans.
Awesome. Dan put a whole load of. I love the variety of pictures he put up, but I picked these up particularly because I talked about ACW. So this is his Zouaves that just, I mean, they're immense. Look at them.
I love painting those. Absolutely brilliant stuff, Dan.
Superb stuff. We've also got there's a theme here. Lots of ACWs. So this is Phil's
Oh,
This is the
it's-
4th Texas Regiment. What scale?
Painted the ties,
Yeah.
or is that on the banner itself?
I'm hoping
Is that
that's on the
actually on
banner
Is
itself.
that on the banner as he painted that? That's
What
but they're
scale?
lovely. 28, isn't it?
28.
15
18?
mil.
15?
Yep, they're Old Glory.
Holy moly.
I know, just extraordinary. He showed a whole battalion of them off, and they looked amazing. But then when you zoom in and you see the quality of those at 15 mil, it's like bloody hell!
Unbelievably good.
Wowza!
Crikey.
David, green
Lovely.
things. That's all I'm going to say.
The band that we were talking about at the start begins with Goblin.
And the next word rhymes. The next word rhymes with rock.
Oh Jesus! No, we're not going to go there. Love this figure. This was Paul's
Moonstone.
flint.
Moonstone.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. So I for ages thought that my version of that was broken because the barrel's quite short, and I thought for a start it was going to be really long. So for ages I didn't paint it.
And then you realised
because I realised when I saw some awesome
you weren't
photos.
suffering from
realised I was-
Steve's droopy barrel again, were you?
Hey,
definitely-
leave my droopy
definitely did.
barrel out of this.
Bloody hell.
That is very cool. I love the telescopic side. I just like the colours. Just a lovely colour, non-metallic.
Really
colour.
nice.
Really nice.
And I love the flowers on the base.
Mm.
Yeah, awesome. Really nice. Fantastic stuff. Steve has been working on his American War of Independence figures. These are
Oh, nice.
Continental Lights and an officer, which I presume he's using for sharp practice, judging by the 6-man unit with an officer with a big man. They look fantastic.
Very cool.
Very good. I must get back into those. Where are we? This one is KS's Hydra figure.
Oh, nice.
I do like a Hydra.
That's very
It's one
old
of my
school
favourite
looking.
mythological. Yeah.
It looks like an old school model, doesn't it? It looks
Yeah.
really interesting, that one. Very cool. Very cool indeed. Gaza has been working on his first Austrians. He had 2 regiments
my
of them
good-
on there.
Holy moly.
I mean, it's not fair, really, is it? That's all I'm going to say. Love the
did they-
backdrop on the photo as well. Fantastic.
They were his first
Beautiful.
Napoleon.
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, scary.
I-
You you just want to give up, don't you, really, half the time with these?
Can we yellow card Rogue Trooper, please? He's mentioning me drinking Prosecco.
You did. I mean, you did.
You
Echo
did.
this
I've got a
take
picture
that.
of you drinking it.
Shut up.
Duncan was playing a First World War trench war game
nice.
with his son, I
Oh.
believe. The other picture was. But
Yeah,
look at that. That's great.
Awesome.
I think Richtofen might be a bit small, but apart from that, that's just
That is
amazing.
awesome.
Love it. I wonder what I don't know. I don't think he said what rule set he was playing, but I love it. I think it's really cool. This was a lovely little diorama that Lawrence put together based on. I think these are from Paul's
Oh yes.
first Arnhem Kickstarter figures, and he's done them as a little sort of diorama, which I think is awesome. Really
That's
good.
lovely.
Really,
Really, do you know what? I absolutely love the camouflage he's got there.
yeah,
Absolutely
That's
brilliant.
really cool.
Yeah, and very nice.
superb. And then Paul, look at this D-Day inspired game, 6
Ooh.
mil, I believe.
Wow.
I mean,
That looks
Yes.
great. That does look bloody
doesn't it
awesome.
just get you excited, doesn't it? There was somebody, I forget who it was now, but showed a video of his D-Day landings game that he's playing or about to play using rapid fire on the channel. There were no stills with it; it was just the video, so I couldn't show it. But again, that's just amazing work.
That's just reminded me. Can I just give a little shout out to Paul Richardson
Mhm.
and his
Yep.
his painting, because he went around those battlefields. He went around Edgecombe and Edgehill,
Yes.
and it's cracking. If you can get the post in the group, and he went around the battlefields, it's awesome commentary, photos of the battlefield. I was sitting on the train back from London. Definitely. Well, I wasn't hungover. I think I was probably still pissed. And I thoroughly enjoyed them. If you go in, and go and watch them, because they were. That was a brilliant post.
Fantastic stuff. His Rogue Trooper's gone beyond moist to dripping wet. Okay, thank you. Details we didn't need. Oh yeah, that game, Andy. That one at Partisan. I saw that on Alex's video. Bloody Omaha was just the most extraordinary game I think I've ever seen. You see some amazing games at conventions, but blimey, I forget how long it was, but it was an enormous game. Just the most extraordinary thing. Beautiful. Watch Alex's video, because that was amazing games there. One day I'm getting up there. This was Paul's. He was playing Burmese, British, and Sikhs versus Japanese bolt action game.
Nice.
And I like the basing on these fellas. Apart from the officer who obviously hasn't made the roster yet, but the others are just brilliant. I like the way that's coming together. He had multiple pictures of his game, which I always love to see. And then I don't really know what this is, but it kind of appealed. So this is Black Hawk Down inspired something troop
Elysium
Imperial
Drop
Guard.
Troopers.
Oh,
That's the
yeah.
colours. Yeah, that's it.
Lovely.
I mean-
Who's done those?
That was Matthew.
That is very. Oh, of course it is. Yeah, very cool. They are very
Very
nice.
Lovely, yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
you've got to love that.
I've no idea what it is, but I love it. I think they're really cool. That's the thing. You can
Lovely.
look at figures that you don't necessarily not going to use yourself, but you think, oh, they look really cool. So there you go. That was a few that I picked up. Lots and lots more on the Facebook page. Please head over and join it if you're not already on it, and post up what you're working on and games you're playing. We love to see it. Really, really cool. So, cracky, we're coming towards the end. So, chaps, what are we up to this week? You got any plans, Martin? More elephants and things you can't talk about?
I never said it was elephants. What are we talking about?
No, I
Tom?
said it was elephants.
You said it was elephants. I was going to say,
I
yes,
said
no,
elephants.
definitely
Stab in the dark.
elephants. Stabbing the Darth. Who are you, Obi-Wan Kenobi? Okay. So, yes, I've got finishing editing, Battle Report. Got another video coming out, an update video. And then I'm off to York. I might have to, I don't know. I was considering painting up a Duke of York and taking them up Micklegate Bar, but I didn't know if that would be tasteless. I did do the Charles I thing on Cromwell's house, but no, I'm looking forward to it. I don't know how much I'm going to get painted, because of course we're not here next week. So it's another bank holiday.
Another bank holiday.
And then the week after, I guess will be on my channel, because I haven't had to do one in May.
Yeah, that's true.
But I did do double time in April
this month. Haven't we? We've been very, very naughty. So whatever.
But yeah, so just I've got some painting to get on with, and restocking the shop and stuff. So yeah,
awesome. Steve, what about you? Did you get you were having a game? Did you have a game?
Yeah, I did put it on the channel. I actually put a battle report together, and we played Bolt Action, and we played 0-200 hours, which was great. We did choose an exceedingly warm day to play it, which was interesting. Now, it was a really, really good day. Like I say, I've arranged my living room so I can now get the 6x4 table in there and set up within 30 seconds. So I'm quite that's exaggerating it a bit, but I don't have to rearrange anything anymore. So it's, a lot more gaming on the horizon. No, for me this week it's going to be Landsnets. I've just finished painting, or almost just finished painting my drummer, and he's very colourful, and it was really enjoyable to paint. So this week is Landsnets, and as mentioned before, I'm going to start on my Space Weirdos video.
Excellent.
So that's going to be. Oh, cheers, John. It was the first time we've done a report in ages, and with my flat, the amount of natural light that gets in here is minuscule. So we were worried about the light being a bit crap, but no, it was a great day, great game. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
To go and watch
I only had one horrific dice roll. Well, a couple, but one was quite bad. But no, it was a good game. We've got a few more games coming up as well. We've got Bolt Action again.
Awesome.
Cheers, Paul. But yeah, for me, painting wise, Landsnets is on the on the painter table for the foreseeable.
Awesome. The algorithm didn't recommend it to me, so I must go and hunt for that. Sorry, mate, I haven't seen that one. Anyway, I will do. I don't know what I'm going to do this week myself. I'm kind of a bit twixt and between. I was sort of hoping for something new that Martin might be working on, but I haven't actually got them. So I don't know what I'm going to do this week. So we'll just carry on doing bits and bobs. I might even do a War of the Roses mounted longbow
that
unit.
Reminds me, I need you to do some more Scots. I can't remember how many Scots you have, but I've got a scenario in my head, and I've got to paint up a load of peasants, and I to fight the defensive Dunstable. And just when they came forward just before the second Battle of St Albans, and Dunstable was defended by a butcher and 200 men and a couple of Warwick's knights against the Scots. I thought that sounded like fun.
Sounds like a job for my Scots. Good boy. Yeah. Okay. No worries. I can do that. Awesome. Excellent. All right. Well, we are at time. So thank you once again, everybody watching us live and also on catch up. Really appreciate everybody joining us. We will not be here next week because we're lazy buggers. We will be here the week after on Martin's channel. Topic to be decided. We've no idea what that'll be yet. But watch this space, and we'll let you know on the Facebook page. Apologies, it doesn't allow us to link directly from StreamYard to the Facebook page anymore.
They've had a falling out. They've had a bad breakup.
They have had a bad breakup. So we'll try and remember to put the link up there so you know what's coming up and can comment ahead of time. But thanks everybody for watching. Really appreciate it. Good chat tonight. So thank you for all the input. Have a great couple of weeks. Enjoy your gaming, your modelling, and your painting. And we'll see you again soon. Tatty bye.
Bye-bye.
See you, everybody.
Bye.